Welcome to the Offshore Club's fun-filled, fact-filled, fast-paced, blockbuster podcast, Coffee with Carib Carter, coming to you exclusively from where the sun never sets on the good life at a great price. And now, fill up your favorite coffee mug and join your expert and your guide, Carib Carter Clues.
Hi, this is Carib Carter. Welcome to episode 12 of Coffee with Carib Carter. I hope you have your coffee cup with you. You fill a coffee. Hold on a second here. Good. Now we can do this thing. By the way, don't forget to send me an email at carter.clues@yahoo.com. Carter.clues@yahoo.com if you want some delicious free Honduran coffee with the fire department coffee. That's who we're working in partnership with now. They make great coffee, and their Honduran coffee, it's hermetically sealed. I got that from the old Oscar show. The sealedness for the freshness sealed in, and it is delicious. It really is, that Honduran coffee. I drank it when I was there, and I've been drinking it ever since. Try it so that when we get together for Coffee with Carib Carter, you will have your Honduran coffee that we can enjoy together. All right. So drop me a note. Said, hey, Carter, send me my free sample at carter.clues@yahoo.com. All right. Matter of fact, write to me whenever you can. Write to me about anything. I'm getting more and more emails now. They're just great. Some really great questions, and if I don't know the answer, I pass it along to an expert like Mike Cobb, whom you know, and whom you're going to see later in this show, or Joel Nagel, America's #1 offshore assets attorney. So, as a member of the club, as one of Carib Carter cadre members, you are well taken care of. And don't forget to tell your friends, tune in every Monday at noon to offshore.club to watch coffee, to join us for Coffee with Carib Carter. And today's show, I think it's going to be very exciting. I had not one, but two interviews. One of them is an interview that is going to tell you, we're going to talk with Mike Cobb. He's the expert. As I tell you in the past, I told you, he's not the offshore entrepreneur and investment advisor. He is not let me get this right. He is not a offshore entrepreneur investment advisor. He is in seriousness, he is the offshore entrepreneur investment advisor. So you're going to love this interview. And also we have back by popular demand, Mr. Mexico, James Manship. Some of you remember I remember him for a couple of weeks ago. He wrote and told me, we love the guy. He's fun. He really knows how to live the offshore lifestyle. He's doing it, and he knows how to tell you about it and help you that you join him, maybe even down there at Lake Chalapa, Mexico, which is just stunningly beautiful. Where you're for very home. I think he told us last time, remember, there are 40,000 expats there. So gorgeous place, great price. So I'll let him tell it. I can steal his thunder as if I could, right? But today in the show, I'm going to start out. We have 7 segments as regular, the regular viewers know, on Coffee with Carib Carter. And the first 2 are day in the life and most frequently asked questions, okay? And today I'm going to combine them too, because there's one question that I do get a lot. Now, yesterday I was at an event. Actually, it was just to share with you, my sister-in-law's funeral, and it was just it was heartrending. But what a great woman, 78 years old. There had to be 200 people at her funeral. I want you to think about that. Someone that impressive. Most of us, I tell my wife, a lot of Angelita, my little Honduran wife, I tell her, when you get to be my age, Princess, you're lucky when you die if you can find 6 people to carry you by the handles, right? But with her, that many people, 200 to 300 people, she was just a great leader, a champion of life for the unborn. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud she was a member of our family. But we all got together to eat after the funeral. Memorial service actually was, and several people, were our fellow Carib Carter cadre members, and several of them said, one thing you haven't addressed, how safe is it? How safe is what really, give us a look on the crime. I always level with you. I never pull any punches. Okay. So let's take a look at it. Okay. So here, that's, I said I was going to day into life. plus combined with frequently asked questions. So let me tell you, one day in my life down there, I'm going to tell you the truth. I kept making this thing. I lived way back in a place called Vista Bonita. Had to walk kind of a back road to get out to the main highway to go to La Ceiba every day, as I've already told you about. I loved it. It was a wonderful road. The chicken bus, I only saw one chicken in the entire year. And he looked like he was a pet. But I did get held up by gunpoint to little punks. Unfortunately, at the time, I had a bad back. It's 10 years ago, right? I don't think I've ever been as angry in my life. All I could think of was if I could move the way I normally do, I would take that gun and jam it down that guy's throat, right? But I couldn't at that point. But it happened, right? I wasn't injured. They didn't put the gun in my face, like it just showed me the gun, right? Like, okay, all right, and a lighter side of it, they took my Kindle and a couple of things. They took my watch, right? They said, give me a watch. They pointed, I gave it to them. The guy looked at it and gave it back. It was I got it at Boscov's for $20. Evidently, they knew the price range on them. So, but at any rate, yeah, there's danger. Well, that's one time in a year and a half, right? And never happened again. And it was kind of stupid, walking a back lonely road was probably not the smartest thing I ever did. And frankly, I've been told, you probably shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't. But so what was it? The great John Wayne movie, Sergeant Riker, when he says, life is tough and it's tougher when you're stupid. So don't do stupid things happen when you do to stupid people. So don't do that. But what about overall? Okay. Overall. Yeah. Overall, I looked up, I wanted to give you a good report. So sure. El Salvador, let's talk about murders per thousand. It's a pretty good way to measure, right? Murders per thousand. El Salvador, about 60,000, 60, not 60,000. God, that'd be incredible. 60 murders per 100,000. Okay. 60 murders per 100,000. Honduras, 40. Belize, a little below 40. On down, Costa Rica, Guatemala, 25. Costa Rica, 12. Panama, 9. You get down to Nicaragua, 8. Remember, I keep telling you, Nicaragua right now is a place to invest. I'm telling you, to move or invest, great choice. Ortega runs a tight ship, but no drugs. 8 murders per 100,000. The U.S. says it's 5.30. And I'm going to tell you something. Some of you may not like this, but I'm going to tell you the damn truth. Don't believe that. Okay? I used to know a detective in Washington, D.C., and one day I said to him, he lived in the same condo complex as me on Capitol Hill in Washington. And I said, hey man, this, it seems to me like the murder rate's getting kind of high around here. He started laughing and said, you don't know the half of it. He said, matter of fact, you don't even know a third of it. He said, whatever they tell you, multiply it by 3. Yeah. Folks, they're politicians. Politicians create substance over reality, anything to serve their own purposes, okay? So when they tell you it's 5.30 nationwide, take that with the same grain of salt you take anything a politician tells you, okay? I'm just telling you, I'm not saying, that it's at 60 like El Salvador. I don't think so. But I would bet you can multiply it by 2 or 3, maybe even a little more for what it really is. All right. Look here. Why do I say that? Okay. Let's look at the record here. Okay. We're talking about crime. Baltimore, 60 per 100,000. Same as El Salvador. Chicago, 45 per 100,000. Detroit, 40 per 100,000. New Orleans, 30 per 100,000. Cleveland, 30 per 100,000. Same levels, folks. And let me tell you a little difference. In the Central American countries, and I want you to brace yourself, okay? Because what I'm going to tell you, some people are going to say, well, that's not very nice, but it happens to be true. As a gringo, as they call us, and not as an insult. My wife tells me all the time, I'm so happy I have a gringo husband. So it's not an insult. But they don't prey on the gringos. As a gringo, you're more likely to die in Chicago or Washington, D.C., or Detroit, right? Or Baltimore, for God's sake, where I grew up and wouldn't walk into on a bet now, than you are in any of the Central American countries. Yeah. All right. Let me just say, they kill if when there's killing, it's them killing each other. Very rarely is it a gringo. Okay. Now, for one thing, you're not going to live way out in the areas isolated. I did, and remember an entire year I had one incident. Okay. And I really did not feel life threatened. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't feel life threatened, but you're not going to be the target for a lot of reasons. One is the criminal element. Those countries know that if because their dictators and tyrants tell them, leave the gringos alone, because we don't, three things. One, we don't want the U.S. government coming down on our heads. Two, we don't want our foreign aid cut off from the U.S. government. And three, the gringos tend to fight back, okay? And so just leave them alone, And so I'm going to say it. Let's get to the bottom line. You are safer, even in El Salvador with 60 per thousand, than you are in somewhere like Baltimore with an equal number, because you're not the main target, okay? And they kind of walk a wide circle around you. I was there every day, a year and a half. One incident, not going to make believe it doesn't happen. I'm going to ask you, be smart, okay? Be smart wherever you are, okay? I live in York, Pennsylvania. I would not walk in the evening 5 blocks from where I live. Trust me, ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen, okay? Okay, back when I had my Doberman before he died, yeah, I'd walk 5 blocks, 10 blocks, but it ain't going to happen now, okay? But I would gladly walk 10 blocks in La Ceiba, Honduras in the evening, did it many a time, okay? Groups of guys standing on the corner, never had an incident, okay? And I think that's what you're going to find. So, yeah, I'm going to say it. You're pretty safe. Okay? You're pretty safe as far as the crime goes. You're going to hear those stats. Our State Department's going to shout them to you. Oh, my God, you'll die over there. Our State Department doesn't want you thinking about leaving there, because this money makes the U.S. go round. Yeah. So that's it. That's the report. Don't believe everything you hear. What you do hear that is fairly reliable, like the stats I just gave you, put them in perspective, and say to yourself, and remember, when you talk about 60 a year being murdered in all of El Salvador, 60 per 100,000, rather, 60 per 100,000 in Baltimore, El Salvador, big, Baltimore, small, much safer in El Salvador. Most areas, totally safe. Okay, same with Guatemala City, La Ceiba, So, answer to the question I was asked over and over, how safe is it? I think it's pretty safe. Be smart, just like you are anyway, okay? Just like you are anyway, and you're going to be fine, okay? And keep in mind, you're probably going to live in a gated community. I didn't, and I wouldn't now. I'm thinking of buying another. Rachel, my wife, and I already bought another home there, not in a gated community. We feel perfectly comfortable having that home. And we're thinking of buying yet another one, beachfront, that is in a little gated community. So you have your choice. But at any rate, I want you to calm down. I want you to feel safe, okay? I think you're going to be fine, all right? So that is your, I tell you, I'm going to give you the straight story, and that's the straight story, all right? That's the straight story, straight from the horse's mouth, who has, trotted those fields, all right? So there you go. Now, and that brings me to, and I actually talked almost a little bit about it there, the Mad Max part of our show, where I talk about, most of the time I'm telling you the great reason you should move south of the border to the good life at the good life at a great price. My own slogan for the Offshore Club mixed up there. The Offshore Club, make sure to go there every day. The good life at a great price. And so that's most of the time, I'm telling you why you should do that. Then we get to the Mad Max report, where I tell you what, Lee, I'm going to be kind of short with that this time because we do have 2 interviews, and I don't want to cut into that time. But I've just finished reading this great book. Okay, let me get it on front of the camera. Some of you recognize him, William Simon. Okay, former Secretary of Treasury, brilliant, former Secretary of Energy as well under Ford, actually Nixon, Ford, and Reagan. Brilliant man. I did some work with him. A guy who's very warm and loyal to his friends. Had a very unusual temper. I mean, if he if he was angry, you knew it pretty darn quickly. Okay, but it was one of those done over, and he was finished. He was fine. Now, those around him might have been still a little stunned, but nonetheless, a brilliant man, free market economist. And he warned about something that really goes right into our Mad Max report, okay? I'm going to read you a quote here. When economic freedom disappears, this is from his book, you can be certain that personal and political freedoms are not far behind, okay? Let me read it again. When economic freedom disappears, you can be certain that personal and political freedoms are not far behind. Your economic freedoms are disappearing by the day. They have disappeared for a year now with the COVID hoax. Okay, you were not allowed to go shopping. You were not allowed to go to the mall. You were not allowed to spend your money where you wanted to spend it. Your economic freedom, along with the Constitution, was shredded for a disease that had a 2% fatality rate. And that was with old geeks like me, okay? The CDC said it does not hit children. They're in no danger. And then they smack the kids anyway and close their schools. Not going to get into it, just telling you. But your economic freedom was shattered. So now we elect a new president who's further shattering it by raising the base tax rate from 39 to 52%. There goes economic freedom. Reimposing the Obama tax, $600 more a year out of your pocket, bye-bye economic freedom, okay? Then causing inflation to go through the ceiling by printing. 40% of all money in circulation now printed in the last year. Sorry, Trump, you were part of that too. Bad mistake. You can only do that for so long. What that does, that's every dollar they print lessens the value of your dollar, of your economic freedom. And the political and personal freedom, you are no longer free. Okay? I'm just going to tell you, economically, can't shop where you used to shop, can't go where you used to go. And personally, give me a break as to whether you're free or not. And so the William Simons was right. He was a brilliant man. When economic freedom disappears, when they make it so you no longer have enough money, you live on the dole from the government. You live on a dole from the government. That's not America. It's not how America was built. Personal and political freedom follow. And who would do this to you? Well, here's a statement on politicians, and I'll stop with this. The ignorance and arrogance seem to flow in reverse proportion to the politicians' intelligence, integrity, and importance. A psychiatrist might say they suffer from delusions of relevance. Folks, 40 years in Washington, I worked with these people. Top of the U.S. Senate, Director of Communications, U.S. Senate. That was what I did. I knew 5 that didn't fit perfectly. Total lack of intelligence, integrity, and filled with their own self-importance, okay? That's what you're dealing with. And, so you to them are simply a means to their end. And the end with politicians is always the same. Power, money, and control, okay? I worked with them every day. I had 5, including President Reagan, that you could tell didn't apply to him, didn't apply to them, okay? Jesse Helms, Rudman, a couple others. But that's where we are. So what I'm saying to you, why am I saying it? Almost hate America. It's not about, I'm looking out for you. Okay. Okay. You know, my loyalty always is first to people, and especially you, because I think we have kind of a dual loyalty building, right? And my loyalty is to you. And when I see your freedoms being crushed and crushed and crushed and crushed, you know, your ability to make a living, you know, being just like, come on, just let me make a living. So we have, the Federal Register has 80,000 pages now, the annual Federal Register. Somebody said the Bible, the King James Bible, has 1,280 pages. So government wants more. Hit this. God says, you know, proclaim freedom throughout the land. The federal government says, not with our 80,000 pages of regulations, you're not. And it's going to get worse because that's what they do. Okay, just a word of warning. So what do? You move to a Central American country. Even if the ruler, president, whatever, in those countries wanted to, they couldn't do this to you because they don't have this massive bureaucracy. The regulatory agencies now have 70,000 employees. I'm just talking federal government, controlling every move you make. If you don't think so, try to put a drain pipe on your home or something. Okay, try anything. Well, you have to have the permit, the license, the fee. We're going to be coming by to check. Please, can't we just live? Well, down there you can. Down there you can, because they don't have the wherewithal to have the oppressive government down on the shoulders saying. So that's the Mad Max report. Don't need to go any further with it. I think you get, you know what? You get the picture and it's not very pretty. And you know what? You already knew the picture because it's being drawn all around you and you're seeing it on a daily basis. I know that. And so what I'm saying to you is go somewhere you can live and breathe free and be free. Okay. And that's these gorgeous Central American countries where they don't have the massive bureaucracy because they just can't afford it. Okay. They just can't afford it. So they can't do it. And the people still they still roam free. They're free range chickens, well, they're free range people down there, and you can be one of them. So it's fantastic, and that's my hope, my prayer for you. That's why we have every Monday at noon at Offshore Club, coffee with Carib Carter, right? That's why we do this thing. So let's move on now to one thing we do that I get a lot of nice notes about, and I also post a lot of these on the Carib Carter Facebook page. So make sure you go to that. And because I try to post every day, try to post a video to you every day, because I think it's the best way for us to talk. And I love the responses I get and I appreciate it. But one of my favorite segments of this show and that I do post on there is $1,000 listing Caribbean, taken after Ryan Serhant's $1 million listing New York. And today's I just love. It's in Parita Chitre. How's that for Spanish? My wife told me how to say that. Panama. Okay, so let me tell you about this one because I kind of like it. Somebody said to me that, how come you never talk about Panama? Well, one of the reasons is, and let me make sure you understand this, your prices are going to be a little higher in Panama, okay, because it's more developed, all right? You're still freer, but your prices are going to be a little higher than they are in Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala. I'd say let's say it this way, if you can live very nicely on, let's say $1,500 a year, I wish, a month in the countries I just named, $1,500 a month, live very, very, very nicely. I'd say $2,000 to $2,500 a month in Panama or Costa Rica. Okay, that's why I don't talk as much about them. Okay, wonderful countries, a little bit higher price than I want you in a bargain price, especially right now. Okay, especially right now when you can still get in at a bargain price. As the continual out-migration from the U.S. down there continues, you know, the prices are going to rise, but you all have gotten in ahead of time, and that's what I want for you. That's why one of the reasons I started the Offshore Club when I did is because I see what's coming, and we're going to talk more about that, by the way, in the interview I have coming up with Mike Cobb. So let's talk about this this property down there in Chitre, Panama. Parita Chitre, Panama. Beautiful residence on a good sized lot. 10-minute walk from the center of town, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous town. It's one of the prettiest towns in all of Panama. Great history, a lot of expats in and out. Continual carnivals. For some reason, it's a town where they just like to enjoy themselves. Very safe, very, very enjoyable. This house is spacious, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, okay? Full kitchen, living room, dining room, laundry room, wraparound porch. Very, very pretty. Let me show you a picture. You know, I always like to print these pictures out. I know somebody said, why don't you just let your super producer Brian bring them up, but I like to show them to you myself. Isn't that lovely? That's a very, very pretty home. Very pretty spacious home, I might add. Okay, so it has all tile floors, very recently painted. Here is the living room, dining room area. Can you see that? Isn't that lovely? Very, very open, airy, spacious. Looking out over the yard, it has fruit trees, and here's another picture of the. And remember, folks, when I'm showing you this, I want to make clear: I do not get any money if you buy this home. Okay, I don't get any money. I get this. I should have said this at the beginning. I get this off Vivian. I tell you this every week. I know. VIVIUN.com. I'm not on their payroll. I don't get a commission from them. I bought a home there myself 10, 11 years ago. I think it's a great place for you to look. Okay. For this home, go to the little box up in the corner. You type in this number, and it's going to take you right to this listing. Okay. 292. Let me get it right. 279-277. All right, let's do it again. 279-277. All right. It's going to take you right to this home, that beautiful home I just showed you. Terrace, appliances, laundry room, patio, cable TV, a wraparound porch with Greek columns, as you just saw. And just a little, you know, it's 4 hours from Boquete. It's very near the beach, gorgeous beach right there near Parita. Lovely, lovely town. Parita has about 40,000 people. Very friendly, everything you could ever want. Gorgeous mall, by the way. Look it up. Parita. Get there in a matter of minutes. Okay. And for this house, the asking price is, now if this house again were in, you know, let's say this house was in, because it's near a beach, in the Florida beach area, California beach area, I'm saying you probably pay, I'd say with this size home, 3 bedroom, 2 baths, probably, I think you're looking $300,000, don't you think? About this, somewhere around there. They're asking maybe more, you know, particularly with the yard size of the yard, 120,000 total. And remember, go in and offer 100. Okay, that's what you know. You go in and say, I saw it, I like it a lot. Let's deal. You know, you want to sell, I want to buy. How about 100? We're done. Good deal. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. I think you might, you know, maybe they'll come back, say 110, whatever. But even if you paid the full 120, it's a great price. It's a great price for that home. So that's your $1,000 listing, Caribbean, which I think is just fantastic. Okay, most of the time I keep them under 100,000, but I think this one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. Okay, and don't forget our partner for Offshore Club, ECI Development. It has a lot of the homes in Nicaragua, beachfront for 130. You know, very, very, very nice. In the Grand Pacifica. Look that up as well. GRAN Pacifica, 130. Okay, tell Mike you want a deal on that as well. Why not? You got nothing to lose. So that's the deal, folks. Look it up. There's when you click on the little box I just sent you, that's what you're going to see. It's going to be in color, and I think you're going to love it. I think you are absolutely going to love it. And I think it's a heck of a deal. It's a heck of a deal. And I want you to take advantage of it. You will love living in Panama. Panama is a very modern country. Okay, very, very modern country. Panama City is just when you go visit there, it's only a couple hours from Parita. you're gonna feel like you're in a very beautiful, modern, but safe. What used to be safe American city, clean as a pin. It's a great place to live. Panama's a great place to live, and so check that out. Check it out. I gave you the number. Go vivian.com. Type it in. Check it out. Again, I don't make any money from this. It's not a matter of me making money. It's you making a good life for yourself. Okay. As a matter of fact, a great life for yourself. Somewhere you can bring the family and kids down, the grandkids, whatever. Okay. So there you have it. The $1,000 listing, Caribbean, and check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Let's do this thing. And that brings me to the speaking of the properties, the investment, our interview. Okay. I promise you 2 interviews. The first one, our friends and family interview, is with Mike Cobb. I actually did it earlier. I don't do this often, but this interview was so striking to me. And I think our super producer, Brian Bauman, would agree with this. This interview, I asked him, Mike owns, as you all know, because I hope you watch Open Mic every Friday at noon at Offshore Club, and I hope you subscribe to the Offshore Gazette, because then you'll get it sent to you, which is even more convenient. Okay, but if you follow Mike, you know that he owns ECI Development. ECIdevelopment.com, great place to check out his properties, which are beautiful and fantastic, okay, and really incredibly reasonably, economically priced. But he is an investment genius. I mean, this man owns 4 residential resort communities throughout the Caribbean. He is on the board of a bank down there. They're opening up a Marriott in Belize, gorgeous Marriott in Belize, gorgeous. I hope one day you visit there. And so when he talks to you about investment, and you say to yourself, I'm hearing from the guy who has walked the talk and is still walking the talk. And so we did an interview this past Friday. I went up this past Friday, but I want to make sure you don't miss it. And that's why I'm bringing it to you today. Okay. And I want you to watch it, because I said to Mike, what are the 5 things, as someone who's been investing down there for 25 years, very, very successfully, okay, very successfully, what are the 5 things to look for and to look out for when you're investing in Central America? Okay. I was going to preface it with a little story about my own experience. Okay. I've had wonderful experiences. I say my wife and I own 2 homes. We're getting ready to buy a 3rd. But it's in the interview, okay? So I want you to watch this interview and seriously, get your pen and take notes, okay? Because now's the time. I'm going to stop blabbing and let you watch it, but now's the time to invest. One of the things I'll tell you, he says, is I say to him, well, what do you see as the traffic flow? He said, right now there are 8 million expats. 8 million. He said, I'm telling you, within 10 years, it's going to be a minimum of 40 million. Folks, I'm telling you, it's going to be 100 million, because people are leaving this country. Just what I'm urging you to do. What we enjoyed here is no longer here. Remember, I keep talking about the land that once was. You know it as well as I do. You know it as well as I do. Okay? So where do you find it? Sometimes you can't retrieve something. You know, the politicians have taken it too far away. So you go where you can still enjoy it anew. Okay? He said 40 million. I think it's going to be 100 million. So get in early. So when they come and look for the land to buy, you already own the land. Okay. Okay. That's very important. It's very important to me for you. Okay. Now's the time to do it. That's why I'm looking for more. Okay. Okay. If I wasn't doing it myself, I wouldn't suggest it to you. In all honesty, that's the truth. So let's, super producer Brian, let's roll this interview. And folks, you're going to thank me for this one. Okay. So here we go.
I sort of see my mission in life is to, help people make really good decisions when they buy property overseas, which is, by the way, one of the reasons I wrote the Consumer Resource Guide for property buying overseas. And we give it away for free, Carter. We give it away for free. You do. I mean, your folks have access to it, because, it's really everything that somebody would want to know about how to buy property overseas successfully and safely. because, when we go overseas, we don't know what we don't know. And sadly, we sometimes bring a lot of assumptions with us too, that don't hold water, outside of North America. So this consumer resource guide is that. And I'm very, very happy to give it away for free, because you know what? If over the next 20 years that we know each other, right now about 8 million North Americans are expats, and I think that number is not going to double. I think that number is going to quintuple. I think there'll be
Absolutely.
80 million North Americans living outside North America over the next 20 years. And you know what? I want the next. I want the next. I said 80 million. Eight times 5 is what?
40. I think it's 40.
40. Thank you. 40, not 8.
I think it'll probably be 80 anyway.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah. But the next, but 40 million, right?
Yeah.
Living overseas. I want those folks to really make sure they're doing it well and doing it right. And you know what? 99% of those people aren't going to buy a property from me. But if 1% of those people buy a property, 400,000 or whatever that number is, we're going to be very, very happy with that. But what I'll be most happy with is knowing that the other 39,600,000 of them got a property that was really right for them and served the needs and wants that they have, and that's important. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you can kind of go to your grave saying, I did a good thing, and sure, our company makes money and we're going to make money and we need to make money, right? I mean, we're a capitalist company, we're in business to make money. But if the other 39 million people who don't own one of our properties make a great decision, that'll be wonderful too, Carter.
And that's fantastic. And I'm glad you're saying this about what you tell people. Now they can get, first of all, they can get the free handbook, the free guide at ecidevelopment.com, right?
Yep.
ecidevelopment.com, folks.
Use info. Yeah, just actually the best thing to do, if you want the consumer resource guide, is just send an email to info@ecidevelopment.com and just say, consumer guide. Throw Carter in the subject line or something, just so we know that you were on here today and we're watching and listening to this. But yeah, just send us a quick email and we'll send you the consumer resource guide. Yep.
Absolutely free. While you're there, check out the properties, because what we're going to talk about, and I want to make clear, and I'm glad Mike already brought that up. This show is not about selling you ECI properties. I think you should look very closely at that, because when you buy one of the properties at any one of Mike's residential resort communities, you're getting the best property at the best price, but you can buy anywhere. And when you do, and this is what I want Mike to zero in on today for us. When you do, there are certain things you need to look for and look out for. Okay. Before you go into it, Mike, let me give an example. When I bought my first property in Honduras 11 years ago, I learned the hard way that in some of these Central American countries, when you buy from Jose, you may not know that Joselita and Juan and Juanita and Raulita and 13 other relatives actually also own the property, and you got a big ball of wax. So, and I don't want that to happen to you, neither does Mike. So Mike, what are the five top things for our viewers to look for and look out for when they're going to buy a property in Central America offshore?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. In the consumer resource guide, we've got 15 questions that people should ask, but they really center around 3 simple principles. So I've got 3 simple principles that'll be the first 3, and then I've got 2 more that are a little different. But the 3 simple principles are simply these: buy what you see, own community, know the developer. Okay. So those are 1, 2, 3. I can expand on them just a bit. Buy what you see. A lot of times, you go to a project in wherever outside North America, Mexico, Central America, South America, Southeast Asia, wherever, right? You go to a project and the developer's like, oh yeah, we're gonna build a clubhouse over here. We're gonna build the pool here. We're gonna build the restaurant. We're gonna build a golf course. Well, I mean, gonna, I don't even know if that's a real word. Gunna, gonna, right? I mean, like, okay, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
You know, and the point is that it's okay if you believe the developer, right? If you believe the developer, fine. You know, one of the things I would do, and we talk about this in the consumer resource guide, is, you know, if they're gonna build a golf course or whatever it is they say they're going to do, ask to see last month's bank statement. Great. I'm glad you're going to build a golf course. I love to golf. Can you print out your April bank statement and show me, you know, $4 million sitting there, $5 million, whatever, right? Or they're going to build a clubhouse, you know, they've got these grand designs for 15,000 square foot and waterfalls, and great. Show me $2 million sitting there, right? Because if you're going to do it, that's great. I love to golf, or I want to come eat at the restaurant in the clubhouse. But, you know, if they don't have the money to do it, how are they gonna do it, right? So we as consumers in the US don't always think to ask that question, right? Because in North America, we're so used to having, you know, truth in advertising. We're used to having Big Brother at, you know, regulatory agencies and bonding and all this stuff that ensures that if a developer says they're going to do it, like, they actually have the money and they can do it, right? But outside the US and Canada, that's not the case, right? So buy what you see. And look, if you say to yourself, well, I believe the developer, and you've asked to see the bank statement, sure enough, they got a couple of $3-4 million sitting there. You think, okay, well, they're going to get it done. Here's my suggestion. No problem. That's great. I'm either going to pay the price for what the property looks like today, right? If there's no golf course, no clubhouse, I'm just buying a piece of dirt, right? Sometimes it's a piece of dirt with no roads and no electric, right? I mean, we're going to put the roads, we're going to put the electric. Okay, that's all great. But today that property is worth X, whatever X is, without those things, right? And one of the things that I would certainly say is, no problem. I'll pay you, I'll pay you $25,000 today. Let's say it's worth $100,000. I'll pay you another $25,000 when the road and the electric's in, and I'll pay you $50,000, when the golf course and clubhouse is in, because you know what? It's worth $100,000 with those things, but with none of those things as it is today, it's worth $25,000. So let me pay you as you deliver these things. Well, if they never deliver, you own the lot for 25 grand, right?
All right. Wow. I told you that's a great interview. Hey, Mike, let me tell you something about Mike. What you see with Mike Cobb is what he is. He's just a great guy. And remember, he's your friend down there now, okay? He's your friend. This guy who owns ECI Development, owns residential resorts in Panama, Nicaragua, Argentina, Belize. You know him. He's your friend now. So when I say friends and family, I mean it. In that interview, what you saw there, he's just that good a guy. And so he's part of the club, just like you are now. Okay, fellow members. And now I want to bring on our second interview. I promise you, too, back by popular demand, my very good friend of 40 years. Okay. And a guy who is living the good life at a great price in Mexico. Welcome, James Manship.
Hello there.
It is great to see you again. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I was this morning at a thing called the Lake Chapala Society, and it's kind of like the place for the snowbirds to congregate. And there was this lady who was born in England and went to Canada and has traveled all around the world. But where is she now? She's here. All right. and she's, so she has written one book called My Way, and then something like The Search for Spiritual Intelligence. And that's what her talk was on today. And so, it's kind of interesting, but I mean, you've got a wide range of interesting people because you meet nice people, but basically you can make it so you can live someplace for, essentially I'm living for anywhere from $0 to $600 a month.
Incredible.
And I meet nice people. And I have a 3-bedroom home. If I rent out both rooms, I pay $0. If I rent out one room, I pay $300. If I rent out no rooms, I pay $600. Big deal.
Incredible. And how about the cost of food and such?
Well, we went to Super Lake grocery store, which is kind of like a Trader Joe's. It's it's different, but it's interesting because you've got so many Canadians and Americans here. You go in there and you find crumpets, and you find Scottish biscuits and all sorts of things that you wouldn't find in a Mexican store or Walmart that they have, or even in the States. So you have that. That's something I like to get, and then that's more expensive, obviously, because it's kind of like a specialty grocery store. But I can go to like the local vegetable stand, and I think I told you this last time. For 200 pesos, which is basically $10, I can buy a kilo of eggs and enough vegetables that basically last me for 10 days. So, that's $1 a day for eggs and vegetables. I buy Veracruz coffee by the kilo, and I think it's $2.20 so that's $11 for a kilo, and that's a huge big bag of coffee, and I grind it fresh each day, and so it's really quite inexpensive. So,
and you if you don't mind my saying, you don't look like you're starving.
Unfortunately, that is a residual of the States. I can't blame that on here, but yeah, and indeed, and you can go places and they, there's more than ample food. Just yesterday, I had
something like that to a very good old friend, right?
Hey, well, you remember me from 40 years ago when I was a cross country runner, and
absolutely.
And there have been some changes, shall we say?
The same here. I was laughing the other day. Brian, our producer Brian, and I do another show, and we were trying to point out science. What do you think? Appearances deceive. I told him, like, you may think my hair is brown, but actually my hair has more gray than brown, except that my little Honduran wife at least once a month says, do something about that. Right. So science lies sometimes, folks. So I know the feeling, right?
When I came down here to surprise my mother for her 93rd birthday in 2016, that's really how I got here. She wasn't in a good situation, so I came down here.
Well, you look great. Now let me ask you this: in the day-to-day life, like around, and that you have obviously a beautiful home. Before we went on, you said you had your green screen behind you, which was very funny, folks. You're referring to is actually green vegetation. But if when you go to see people and your neighbors there, what is the neighborhood like?
Well, there's a white blossoming tree there. And then there's also, that's the jacaranda tree. And you might still see a little bit of lavender trees there. And if I lift it way up like that, you can see some of the, way down there in the back is the lake. And then I come over here in my hedge. You can see all these purple flowers on the vine. And so forth like that. And, it's just flowers are everywhere. And this has just been the dry season. We've just had our 5th day of rain, which is an early rainy season and a pretty good rainy season. Right. And so that's a blessing because, it's kind of like the arid regions of, shall we say, not as bad, but say like, I wouldn't say bad, but kind of like Las Vegas, for example, is like high desert, and if you put water on it, it grows like crazy.
That's right. Yeah.
If you don't, it dries up. Well, this is not anywhere near as dry as Las Vegas, but it has its dry seasons, And so, of course, things die back. I had been away for 6 months, and I came back, and all the plants I had on the balcony had dried up and died. I had somebody to take care of it, but they didn't do that. And so then, you know, I started watering, and one of the 6 survived, and I started watering like the poinsettia and various other things, and they're all shooting out leaves. And the trees that hadn't had any water, I started watering them. In about 3 weeks, they started flowering. So that's just the reality of how it is. You know, all of us, when we're watered and cared for, we blossom.
It's gorgeous, and that this vegetation's year round. This vegetation is year round, right?
Yes.
It's fantastic. Let me ask you before we have to go. Let me ask you one more question. What's it like in the neighborhood? In the neighborhood you live, to walk down the street, what kind of people you see, what kind of relationships you have? Because everybody wants to know, what are my neighbors going to be like?
Well, I would say, if I were to quantify it, I'd say it's probably 50% American and Canadian, and probably 50% Mexican. Maybe it's 60.
It's 17 hours.
You know, maybe 60% American and Canadian, and 30% or 40% Mexican, because Guadalajara is not far away, the second largest city. And so a lot of people have second homes that are kind of like their weekend getaway homes.
Right.
Okay? And so there's, and then there's a lot of professionals, like there's professional pilots. All right, as far as to my neighbors, most of the people are retired, but right down the way, there's a man who has a horse stables, and people come to this neighborhood to ride horses around the area. And a little bit further down, there's somebody who has a goat farm, so I can go and get goat milk and goat cheese, you know, right here in the neighborhood. Yeah.
All right. Let's
here you back up. This is,
there we go. How you doing? Welcome.
And he's the guy who's looking at buying a place in Chapala, and this is my 40-year friend, Carter Clues.
Oh, how you doing? It's nice to meet you.
Good. How are you doing?
And you're keeping good company there. You're keeping good company with my friend James.
Debatable. Yeah, it's debatable.
Let me astray sometimes.
All right, James, we're gonna close up here, and if you promise to come back again for next month's interview,
we'll do that.
All right,
we'll do that.
This has been fantastic. Thank you once again very much, folks. The perfect insight into the real lifestyle with the guy living the good life at a great price in Chilapa, Mexico. Okay, so just joining. Okay, and James is just such a delight. He's always been just that delightful, folks, ever since I've known him. So now let's go to. We only have 2 segments left. Let's go quickly because we're running along. I want to encourage you in the potpourri. We've talked about Panama. Go to ecidevelopment.com. See that booklet there? That's free. That's like 90 pages free. Everything you want to know about Panama. Full color, beautiful, downloadable instantaneously. It does not come with the iguana, I don't think. But that's a great book. ecidevelopment.com. Get it. And it'll tell you everything. I'm places to eat, places to go, what to do, you know, just healthcare, everything you want to know about Panama. Because today, as you know, we talked about a great place for you to grab hold of for just barely over 100,000 there in Panama, in Parita, Panama. Okay, and that brings us to our final segment here. Okay, the let's do this things segment. And you know, I'm gonna give you almost a paradox here, because I'm gonna give you 2 quick stories. One is ring that bell, and the other is don't ring that bell. Okay, and both, once we tie them together, you'll see they both give you the same message, and that's take control of your own life and do what's good for you. Okay, do what's good for you. George Bernard Shaw, the great playwright, once said, some people see things as they are and ask why. And I dream. Okay, that's what these 2, ring that bell and don't ring that bell, are about. first ring that bell. One of my favorite. I learned a lot about advertising. As you know, that's what I really do for a living. The being the president of Offshore Club is kind of a labor of love because I get to talk with you. I get to enjoy corresponding with you, hearing from you, sometimes phone calls with you. And the Ogilvy told a story when he first started out. He became one of the greatest advertising man of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And he went, and just when he had a firm, was him and just one or two other people. And he went and pitched General Motors, for Pete's sake. You know, it's a huge account for a new firm. And he went in, it was like a cattle call, all these advertising agencies, executives out there. And he was just young and new. And it became his turn. He walked in, and here was the big board table. And at the end of the board table, the chairman of General Motors, Mr. Ogilvy. And he said he noticed there was a bell in front of on the table there. And he said, before I start, what's the bell for? He said, well, when you're done, we ring this bell when we have heard enough from you. And Ogilvy said, ring the bell. Ring the bell. In other words, I'm living my own life, okay? And he turned around and walked out. And by the way, they called him back later because he got the account. They liked the fact that he was his own man, that he had courage, and that he wasn't going to be just another yes man selling whatever advertising they thought they'd buy, whether it worked or not. Ring that bell, folks. I want you to tell people that in your life. When they tell you, well, don't move offshore, this is going to go wrong with it. You know, when they blah, 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 say, ring the bell. Just ring the bell. I'm living my own life, okay? Then the other, I want to show you this video. Don't ring that bell. Don't ring the bell, okay? You're going to see they lead to the same conclusion for you, living your own life, dreaming of things as they could be, and saying, why not? And this is the voice you're going to hear is Admiral McRaven, and it's self-explanatory. And the super producer, Brian, roll this. It's only 3 minutes, folks, but you're going to love it, I promise. Ryan?
Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward will apply equally to all. It will not be easy. You will likely fail often. It will be discouraging. At times, it will test you to your very core. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person. One person can change the world by giving people hope. Start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never, ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. Finally, in SEAL training, there's a bell. A brass bell that hangs in the center of the compound for all the students to see. All you have to do to quit is ring the bell. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to wake up at 5 o'clock. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to be in the freezing cold swims. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to do the runs, the obstacle course, the PT, and you no longer have to endure the hardships of training. All you have to do is ring the bell to get out. If you want to change the world, don't ever, ever ring the bell.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, folks. So that's the other side of it. Ring that bell to maintain your independence, and don't ring that bell to maintain your independence. Either way, I want you to control that bell in your life, okay? That's what I want for you. And that you can do with your offshore move to the good life at a great price. Reassert your independence. Reassert your control of your own life. Reassert every dream you've ever had. And now, at last, say, it's mine, it's my bell, it's my life, and I'm going to dream of things as they could be and say, why not? All right? So let's do this thing, and I'll see you next week.
For more information on the Offshore Club or to contact Carib Carter, visit offshore.club today. Offshore.club. That's offshore.club. See you next time at the Offshore Club.